What's up, everybody? Welcome to Studio Wesley Live, our weekly hangout for community and connection. I'm Derek Scott III, and here with some great folks. And this is our first Studio Wesley Live. So excited! So if you're watching, go ahead and drop something in some comments on whatever platform you're hanging out on. We're gonna have a great time tonight. So first, I just want to say hey to my friends who are hanging out in the space. So, friends, tell us your name, pronouns, and what you're drinking tonight. And so I'll get started. Derek's got third pronouns, he, him, and I'm drinking some turmeric tea right now. Grace, welcome.
Hello. Yes, my name is Grace. You might notice the question marks on my pronouns, and here's the thing, is that we did spend time deciding whether I was going to do pronouns or not, and I decided, let's give you all of the options, because I would love if we could prioritize gender is so silly goofy sometimes, so if we could prioritize my name, but also, she and they are good. She and they are good. And we can tell that I am drinking coffee. It's in my nice little Love Equally cup. But the containers of iced coffee that you can buy at the store, they have the pumpkin cream versions of those now. So I'm drinking that, and then I have my Coca-Cola on standby just in case.
Always Coca-Cola. Beautiful. Thanks, Grace. Sam.
Hello. My name's Sam Styles Williams. I use he, him pronouns. I kind of have a boring one. I know this is a weird thing to say that it's boring, but I'm drinking water because all I've had is coffee and Red Bull today. So I put the Red Bull in the fridge because it's past 5 p.m. So now I'm catching up on my water, which I probably should have been having all day. But I'm excited to be on this one.
Sam, there is no shame in water. Hydrate.
There's a little bit of shame in it being my first water of the day. Probably should not have been, but now's a good time.
It's 2025. We're all doing the best that we can. So,
real.
Thanks for being here, Sam. And Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison. She, her pronouns. And Sam, I am also team water today. I've done a lot of stuff and I've not hydrated enough, so I'm out here drinking water as well. So that's it.
Fantastic. What a great team. And we're going to go straight into our regular first segment of Studio Wesley Live, highlight of the week. Awesome. Highlight of the week is our weekly conversation of things that we want to highlight for the Studio Wesley community, things that we're like, yes, you need to know about this stuff in news, some stuff going on in the world, maybe even stuff going on in our neighborhoods. We're just like, this is something that Studio Wesley folks need to know about. So, Allison, what's your highlight for the week?
Yeah, I feel like mine is so silly to be the first person to be going.
It's great.
I had a couple of rough days this week, and then in the midst of it, I had a friend show me the new Oreo Reese's collab that happened. And I bought, so there's both the Oreo cookies but Reese flavored, and then Reese's with Oreo cookies in them. I bought them both. They're incredible. However, the Oreo cookies that taste like Reese taste like you're dipping an Oreo in peanut butter. Because I was influenced as a child by Parent Trap. I love to dip Oreos in peanut butter. But when you eat the peanut butter Oreos, it doesn't taste the same. These do. And I had a couple of rough days this week. A friend showed them to me, and they saved me this week. And I just think everyone should know about them. They're both delicious, but I prefer the cookies. The cookies are fantastic.
I am grateful for that highlight. I'm going to leave it there. I am grateful for the highlight. Yes. I think a lot of people like Oreos and a lot of people like Reese's. So the combination of the two, I think there's going to be a lot of folks who will be helped by that highlight this week. So thank you, Allison. I think we're even going to drop that link to something in the chat, aren't we? Possibly. Yeah. So beautiful. Sam, highlight of the week.
So my highlight of the week is a local event that you guys can also have access to everywhere. So yesterday was the 25th annual National Festival of Books here in DC. So the National Book Festival has been put on for 25 years now, and it's by the Library of Congress. They bring together a bunch of authors, a bunch of speakers, a lot of guests who do panelists. to talk about the different works that they've selected for that year as like the books of the year. So I've been 2 years in a row now since going to American. Missed out on my freshman year, but now I'm staying strong with it. I was there all day, and I had multiple friends come and join me throughout the day. I saw Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett, Ron Chernow, who wrote the biography that inspired the Hamilton musical. He wrote the biography, the first one of it. David Rubenstein was a moderator on a lot of it. He's done a lot of presidential historical work. And then the real reason I was there, if you guys have listened to any episode of Annex, you know I quote John Green 24/7. And I finally got to see John Green live. And it was just as magical as I expected it to be. I didn't take any notes during that one because I like knew everything he was going to say because I listened to him all the time. But it was so amazing. So you guys can experience it too. It's all on C-SPAN and on the Library of Congress website. They live stream all of their interviews, and you can now access it after the fact completely for free. So a lot of really good authors, a lot of different like educational tools in there, and it's all free. So check it out.
Okay, Sam, first of all, thank you for this highlight. And is there like one quote that you remember from the event that you're like, I'm holding on to this. This was strong. This is good. He's got his notebook.
Okay. So, well, this is another thing is I have this notebook in my pocket every day. I've done it since I started college. I have 3 of them, one for each year. So actually I just flipped to a really good one. I went to one that was about the oral historian. So like instead of interviewing people like a normal oral historian, he compiles from a date all of the interviews that are already made and then synthesizes it into a narrative. So it was about the building of the atomic bomb in World War II. And he was talking about why he's an oral historian instead of just a regular historian. And he said, people who I'm interviewing, and then the quote is, we don't know if we're at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the current moment. And I think with everything going on in the world right now, that's very true for us, just as it is in history, that like we don't know where we're at. And so that was the one I think that like stuck with me the most. Also is the page that I opened to.
Wow. Okay, I'm glad I asked you that follow-up. Yeah. So now I need to actually ask Allison a follow-up because I realized okay, the Oreo Reese's thing. And let's just be honest, like Derek's not a big fan of sweets. So that was some of the reason I was like, I appreciate that highlight. I don't have anything else to say, but I actually do. What do they look like, Allison? Like, do you have an example of what this thing? Because I actually can't conceive it in my brain. The Oreo Reese's mashup.
I appreciate that you had to bring it back around, so I wouldn't be offended. But I promise I wasn't offended. It's the Oreo cookie filling that's like kind of peanut butter-ish looking, but kind of not. And then it's the Reese's cup is like the weirdest because it's like the top is like white. The first half is like white, and then the bottom half is like normal Reese's chocolate. And then inside is like a little bit of peanut butter, but also crushed up cookies.
Right. Okay. That's great. Yep. All right. So, Grace, highlight of the week.
I also want to talk about Oreo peanut butter. So my highlight of the week is it's a thing that was announced over the week, but it's happening tonight actually. So after this is done, and after all of your other commitments for the evening are done, I would suggest looking at this. But as we may or may not be aware, Ozzy Osbourne passed recently, which was a huge deal. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions about him, but something that has been really cool is his kind of like taking under his wing of an artist named Youngblood, YUNGBLUD, Youngblood. First name Dominic, but he has a really cool personality. I mean, I think he's like gorgeous as well, but he is such a performer. He cares a lot about like fostering like a healthy concert environment. Like he is one of the artists that will always stop if like somebody is having like a physical issue, or even like if he sees people like arguing, if there's like a question of like if somebody's being mistreated at the concert, he like stops. He's like, hey, we don't do that here. So I really appreciate him for that. Yeah. But my highlight of the week is that he connected a lot with Ozzy Osbourne in the recent couple years, but he was asked at the VMAs he was asked for the VMAs tonight to do like a tribute to Ozzy. So it's really cool to see like
Mm.
he gets to like celebrate one of his friends slash mentors. And then something interesting that I think is in this link, I think this was the Rolling Stone link, is that apparently like Aerosmith is also part of this. And I'm not familiar, like I know who they are, right? Like I know who they are, but I'm not familiar with the lore. Apparently they have like not been on good terms, maybe not on speaking terms, but they're like back together for this tribute to Ozzy Osbourne tonight. And there's been a lot of Ozzy tributes. Like there was like an individual Ozzy tribute event recently after he passed. There was one before he passed where Ozzy was there to like do like what he could. So it's just been really cool to see like different pockets of community kind of come together, and also like Dominic gets to one be a comfort to old like Ozzy Osbourne fans, but also like I don't know, it's just cool to see somebody who like loves performing and has like just a really good spirit about him. I feel like I'm like, and somebody that just he has a good spirit about him, but like he does, and so it's just fun to see. Like I don't know, I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it later, and I'm super excited.
You know, I don't watch award shows because I'm not a fun person, but I know that there are people that literally like organize their year around award shows, and I think part of the reason is because these like tributes happened, right? Like of these artists who, I mean, we all have mixed stories, don't we? Like all of us have like, what did we do? What were we doing then? And like, oh my gosh, I can't believe somebody videotaped that great moment. You know, that was not that great. Like, you know, like we all have mixed stories, and so, but you know, when an artist dies, like they their art lives on, and you want to celebrate them. And so I appreciate you lifting that up, Grace. I won't be watching the VMAs tonight because I'm still not fun, but I do have a special place in my heart for Ozzy Osbourne. Please don't ask me to sing any song because I don't know them, but I have a special place in my heart for him as an artist for sure. Yes.
Derek, I will say I will also not be watching the VMAs tonight. Not because I'm not fun, because I am fun, but because I am not somebody who can afford a streaming platform or a live TV service to watch the VMAs. But free YouTube, ooh baby, free YouTube on Monday morning.
Beautiful.
Won't
beautiful.
he do it?
Yes, yes. I if I was a VMA person, I'm gonna keep going now because I'm not. Thank you, Grace, for that. And my highlight of this week is an article about, well, the name of the article there says, Anthropic agrees to pay authors at least $1.5 billion in AI copyright settlement. And I think the link's going to be dropped in the chat. But essentially, you have all of these companies, these AI companies that have been trying to teach their large language models, their AI agents, what we are and what we think and how we live in this world and how we communicate with each other and how we conceive things. And there's just this big conversation, like in grabbing all of this content, don't you need to pay the people who made the stuff, the books and the scripts and the articles and blogs? And for a while, Anthropic, along with other companies like OpenAI, has said, nope, we don't need to because it's out there on the internet. If it's on the internet, that should be just the free exchange of ideas, and we should be able to just grab that stuff for free. Well, this particular court does not think so. And so while Claude is a great assistant for me, he's not my best friend. He's not even in my circle of friends, but Claude is a good assistant for me. I'll just be honest. I think this is a good move. And so there's like a hearing tomorrow, but Anthropic is going to possibly have to pay all of these authors 1.5 billion, not each. Like that's the amount. It's apparently going to be like the largest settlement so far in history around the use of AI and taking other people's content to help educate these AI agents. I'm very interested in AI for a lot of reasons. I'm very interested in it. And so this article, I just thought was like, if I'm going to bring up something, like I'm going to highlight something, I'm going to highlight this because I think we're still in this space where we're figuring out, is AI safe? We know that it is not environmentally safe. And so we're going to have to figure that out the more that we use it. But the fact that like in many ways, we're already forced to use it, like with different applications and different things that we're just doing on a daily basis. There's already artificial intelligence embedded so much in all of our lives, and so we're sort of at this place of like resisting it is I mean, we can try, but I'm not sure that is really where we are now. I think we're more like, okay, let's figure out all the ways that it gets used, and let's look for the ethical uses of it and the ways we can mitigate the damage done to the environment, to people's jobs, things like that. I'm not even going deep into my understanding of AI, and that's not very deep in and of itself. And I'm not going real deep into the whole conversation. But I did think that this was a really important thing that happened. I wanted to highlight it because I think it's something, I think this is a good thing. I think Anthropic can spare the 1.5 billion. I think y'all got it. I think you're gonna be okay, Anthropic. And thank you for Claude. Again, great work assistant. And also pay these authors, man. Come on. All right. That was highlight of the week. And so, friends, we usually would take a commercial break, but this week, because it's our first week, we're just getting stuff going. We're testing stuff. So after highlight of the week, we usually take a commercial break, and then we'd have some kind of special segment. And those segments are going to be different each week. But this week, first live episode of Studio Wesley Live, we are going into, Michael, get ready for it, story time!
Hello, it's me. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you, Michael. And y'all, those folks watching, you don't know this, but there's this really incredible technician, engineer in the background making all of the things happen. His name is Michael Yerrick. He's a super good guy on the Studio Wesley team. And he's going to read us our story this week. And just so you know, our panel has not heard this story. This is... I don't know if there's a really cool name for this. I'm 45, so I wouldn't know what that name is.
This is a blind read. We call it a blind read.
That's an annex term.
We get a little... This is how we do it, Darren.
That's a Studio Wesley annex term that Sam has coined. So we're carrying it over cross-platforms.
And I get royalties every time you say blind read from now on.
It's true.
That's why I say it. Every time I say it, then maybe I won't say it.
Every time you say what? Every time. Right.
Okay.
All right. Take it away, Michael.
Okay. So this is our story. This story comes from a Reddit post, basically a Reddit thread where people are looking for feedback on whether or not they are in the wrong, is how we'll word it for today. So this is a parent asking if they are in the wrong after the situation they dealt with their daughter. So these are their words, not mine. I will try to keep as much of my own personal bias out of this story as possible. So buckle up. My daughter, a 26-year-old female, came to visit us recently and apparently to show us her very first tattoo. Now, disclaimer, yes, I am a Christian, but I don't necessarily believe tattoos are sinful. I personally find them distasteful, but in my daughter's case, I was more so concerned with the thought process behind her decision to get one. I asked her a few questions about where, why now, and was it painful. After she answered those, she asked, "So do you like it?" I replied, "Yes, but honey, I must admit I'm a little apprehensive about how this tattoo is honoring to God." Context, the tattoo is of a smiley face with tiny demon-like horns and a tail. Daughter rolled her eyes and said, "I didn't always have to make everything about God and that I should just be happy for her." To which I replied that as Christians, we should always be mindful that the decisions we make are pleasing to God and that I wasn't putting down her tattoo. I was just curious how a tattoo with demon horns and a tail was a good representation of our faith. Then she told me she wasn't a Christian anymore, which was a bombshell. Fortunately, by the grace of God, I was able to keep my composure and say to her, "No matter what, I will always love you and I love Jesus, and I'll be praying that one day you will love him as much as I do too." And I told her that since she was no longer Christian, my last question was moot and that we could just let the matter drop. I wanted to cook for her, but she had to go, and we have not spoken since then. She did tell me through my husband that she won't talk to me again unless I promise to go an entire conversation without bringing up God or Jesus, and I refused. Do I talk about Jesus a lot? Yes. Is it because I'm intentionally trying to piss my daughter off? No. I don't go into situations thinking I'm absolutely going to make sure to bring up Jesus. It just happens, and it's never to put anyone down. I spoke to my sister and my best friend about this, and they said they can't decide who's wrong or right because A, they feel like I should be able to talk about my faith freely, but that B, it kind of seems like I might be putting my faith over my daughter. So that is the story at hand. I've got some comments for you later, but we'll let you discuss it first.
Wow. Thank you, Michael. I have some thoughts, but I'd love to hear, Grace, what would you say to this mom?
Here's the thing: is the things I would say to the mom. I actually wrote things down that I would want to say to the daughter, but I think like, so one, I'm like thought process, right? Because I'm a thought process kind of tattoo person. I have 7 right now, and they all have some sort of meaning. Some of them have threefold meanings, and that's just for me. And I'm sure that others might find them distasteful. I'm wondering like what denomination we're looking at when they're talking about honoring
Mm,
to God as well.
mhm,
Um, like at least have like a biblically accurate demon. Um, I was really proud of the mom for like dropping the topic. And I would want to know how mom said it to daughter, right? But like
mhm,
I'm pretty proud of mom slash OP original poster um for dropping the topic and being like, oh, well like it's like not really relevant like if you think it's honoring to God because like that's not a thing
mm,
that's like on your mind anymore. So like, oh well, you know? And I wonder if it came across as like, well then I guess that doesn't matter to you if it's honoring to God.
mm,
So I'm wondering what the tone was when mom said that because like
mhm.
the way that mom wrote it was, oh, like okay, like it doesn't matter then if you feel like it's honoring to God because like that's not on your radar. Um
Yeah, yeah.
and like I appreciated that mom chose not to talk about faith in a forceful way. Because as someone who's like, no, please make your own decisions, but can I tell you about this really cool thing? And I'm so sorry for all the rest of what my religion has done. I'm so sorry, but this one thing is so cool. I'm kind of proud of mom for being like, wait, no, my daughter actually doesn't want to talk about this thing. So like, okay, that's cool. Um, but I wonder how mom said the things and what words mom said and how daughter feels one on
Yeah.
one.
Thanks, Grace. That's insightful. Sam, what would you be saying to the daughter at this time? What would your thoughts be?
Okay, well, before I say that, I first have to say, so like Derek said, he didn't prepare us for any of this, and the fact that you put me on a live stream and asked me about to respond to Reddit, this is my dream come true. This is most of what I watch on YouTube. I'm so excited. As soon as Mike said it was from Reddit, I got excited. My thing, I responded also. I was like writing stuff down, and mine is actually a response more to the mom, which is I think we kind of switched by accident. Faith isn't built through force, and personal relationship with spirituality is inherently personal, and that those are my two things. Is like you forcing this conversation, and like Grace said, I do really appreciate that she dropped the conversation because I think kind of like putting your daughter in a box and having to have that conversation of like you should be faithful, here's how you should be reflecting God, those I think are inherently personal conversations to figure out, and you can have those conversations with your family. Your spiritual life can start there, but I believe that like faith comes from within and comes from a personal relationship with God, with spirituality, with whatever it is. And so the idea of having that forced by another person and determined by another person, I think is really harmful. I don't think it's going to work well in the long run. I don't think it's going to make someone choose to practice and engage in their spiritual life. But I also think it's interesting to say we should always be mindful of how our decisions impact God. I think that's mostly the quote. Because I also have a tattoo, and my tattoo is something that I believe in, and it has a lot of significance to me, but I've never thought about it in that context of like, is that something that's impactful in the eyes of God? And what I would say in response to my tattoo, but also to the daughters, is like, is that something that's reflective of you? Because I think that is
Mm,
inherently something that God would appreciate because God created you specifically how you were. God didn't like, it's not a mistake that this daughter got this tattoo. God understood that. And so I think if it's reflective of God versus if it's reflective of you, I think those two things can be equal and aren't necessarily like opposite forces.
Thank you for that, Sam. And I'll full disclosure, it's going to be an interesting day if there's ever a tattoo on this body, this one. Even though I am thinking about one, so that interesting day is a little more likely than it's ever been. But we're still like, I'll probably be in the 50s before.
Is it a smiley face with devil horns? Is this about you?
No, it's much less creative and much less fun. So, Michael, before I ask Allison to comment, I wondered if you had anything else to share about this particular story.
So we got no additional follow-up from the poster. Mom left it as is. I can read to you a couple of the top comments on this post if that gives you any sort of like additional context to how the world is feeling, right?
Yeah.
So I got 4 comments that I pulled for this one, and some of them get a little spicy. So we'll just preface. So the first one, I've seen Christians who bring up Jesus, God, and faith so much that you cannot discuss anything with them. And there have been people who I know who are deeply religious, but having a conversation with them is always pleasant and nothing about religion. And if it is, they can see others' points of views, and it's just an interesting discussion. Even as a Christian, you're allowed to have your own opinions, interests, and hobbies. It kind of seems like your life revolves around your faith so much that you don't even know how to keep up a conversation with others. So that's first take. Second one, when you said the bit about I'll be praying that one day you will love him as much as I do, your daughter was almost certainly thinking, I'm hoping that one day you'll love me as much as you love him. Yeah. Comment number 3, she didn't ask you to stop being religious. She just wants to be able to have a conversation that doesn't feel like you're subtly pressuring her to convert back by, I don't know, compulsively bringing up God in conversations that have absolutely nothing to do with religion. And let's be real, ex-Catholic here. Do you really think Jesus would want you to forfeit that bond with your daughter so you could bring him up in every conversation? Or would he want you to prioritize that loving bond and being a role model of your actual beliefs without preaching them? Just some food for thought. The last one here. You don't really understand Jesus and simply use or misuse him to cudgel and control yourself and others. As Christians, we should always be mindful that the decisions we are making are pleasing to God, and that I wasn't putting down her tattoo. As a Christian, you should be mindful of respecting the choices and decisions of others, regardless of your own opinion of those decisions or the people or faith of those people who are making that choice. Why couldn't you simply say, the tat is not my taste, honey, but I'm glad you like it? What was the point in bringing Jesus into it? What would Jesus do in this same situation? Exactly. You're an asshole, big time. In this situation, the ultimate irony is that her conduct is far more befitting a true Christian than you. So these are kind of the top comments so overall consensus, Mom was in the wrong here. So that's what I got for you.
Interesting. Thank you for that, Michael. Allison, since I've got it wrong twice of asking our panel to respond to a particular character, and they're like, nope, actually, I'm going to respond to the other one. I'm not going to tell you who to respond to. I'm just going to invite you to unmute and give us your thoughts. So
it's fine, because I actually think I have a lot of like more overarching thoughts on it. One of them was Mike just kind of brought up in the comment, because I think my immediate reaction was like, how excited do you think she was to show her parents this tattoo, only for her dad to be like, I don't know about that one, man. Like, did you think about God beforehand? Like, the way that I could see her being like tense, because she went from so excited to like show her parents this thing that she got and that she loves, from like, oh, they don't like it or approve of it or approve of me or anything that I'm doing right now, like kind of thing. So like that comment about like loving, I can't remember exactly what it said, but like wishing that her dad would love her in the same way that he's loving God in those scenarios. And like that was kind of like my first reaction of like, she was probably so excited, and that was just kind of yanked away when he brought up how it would look in the eyes of God. I don't know. And then my other thing is just like, we've spoken a lot about the tattoo in itself, but like there's also the pieces I was thinking about where she's saying she told the mom that she would only like have a conversation with the dad again or interact with the dad again if he went in one conversation without talking about God or religion or faith or whatever it was. And so I got stuck there too. And we haven't spent a lot of time on that, like in this segment, because my initial thought was like, what would have led her there? Like, what would have gotten her so far removed from it all that she can't even be in a conversation with her dad where he might bring it up? And so I think the social work brain I have, like, kind of started thinking about, like, what got her there? Like, what led her there? What was the path to get there? And so while they're focusing on, like, a tattoo that they don't like and the fact that she's not talking to her dad and all the things, I feel like we're focusing on the wrong thing in a lot of places in this, just on the parents' part. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the some of the roles might have gotten confusing. So the original poster is the mom. The daughter is now not talking to the mom except through the dad.
I thought it was the other way around.
That's what Michael is clarifying.
Sorry, yes, clarity. Mom is the one who posted this. So mom made the comments about the tattoo, and then at the end she says, "My daughter's not talking to me anymore, except one thing she said through her dad, which is I'm not talking to mom until she promises to have a conversation without bringing up the tattoo." Yeah.
Okay.
I still think that what you said holds, Allison. Yeah, like, I feel like it still holds true. Even
you just swap the roles and it still makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I'll just say I don't have anything to. I am going to add to the conversation, but not at all to be like, well, guys, let's like think about this perspective as well. Like I don't think so, and I think it's clear. Like there's a gravitation towards defending the daughter, because I think a value that it's in our culture is one of accepting people, particularly a young adult. And that's where, if I'm going to get into the convo, sort of my first thought was, hey, Mom, I need you to recognize that this is an adult now who gets to make adult decisions. And so you're now interacting with an adult. With parenting 2.0, super difficult. I don't know if I'm ever going to do it because, my God, I'm out here for college-age young adults all day, every day. But parenting an adult is very different from parenting a child, parenting a toddler, parenting a teenager either. And that's my animal in the background that wants to also have a conversation with us. Sorry, that's Julian. Let me keep going. Gosh, that's going to be so distracting. And I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize for Julian. Don't you ever apologize.
You can't control a child.
I can't control a child. So let me say this. I want to invite us, as we think about this story, to reflect on the moment when we are in we have the social power. The moment that we are in the position to give acceptance. We immediately run to the person that should be accepted. But I don't know if we are aware of the moments that we're going to, at some point, be the one who needs to receive someone who is arriving in a way that we didn't plan, we didn't imagine, and I imagine that this mom, again, not dismissing who she should be in this moment, who I think she should be, but she probably never imagined that she would be in this place of social power where she got to render acceptance to her daughter. I think all of us at some point may be in a moment where we have the social power in the conversation. And so will we render acceptance? Or is it only one direction? Are we only interested in being accepted? And I'll be honest, I don't spend enough time reflecting on the moments that I am in the position of social power. And I actually don't even, how do I say this? I don't even take it into account that right now people are waiting for me to accept them. I don't carry that weight. And I should, is my point. Like I should carry some of that weight that people are coming into my life and they want to know that I accept them as they are. So that would be my contribution to the conversation. Yes.
And I think Derek, not even just not anticipating the moment of having social power, but also, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The beginning of the story, she didn't expect to be having the conversation, period. Because it says, like, my daughter came home for what I thought was a catch up, and also to show that she had a tattoo. So, like, not only not anticipating being in that position of acceptance, but also just like that is a huge life change. And like, to the mom's credit, I think if you are someone who like your faith is that important to you that it is the foundation for all your actions, when you're met with like a very strange stimuli that you weren't expecting and this like shocking moment, I understand why that's the first thing you go to, because like she just thought that her daughter was coming home to catch up, and then suddenly there's this life change, and it's her first reaction to it. She didn't even get to have dinner at the end, so like she has to rewire what she thought the conversation was too.
Absolutely.
Well,
Grace,
yeah, I was just gonna add, for you pointing that out, Sam, like the mom didn't think that is how the conversation was gonna go at the beginning, and we see the reaction switch once the daughter states that it's not just like, oh hey mom, I have this new tattoo. It's, oh well, I'm not Christian anymore. And like the mom shifts then, and she's like, okay, this is a bigger deal than I thought it was. And like, on one hand, as humans, we take action, and then we realize sometimes our actions are not the right thing to do when we're like interacting with people, and we're like, okay, my bad, let me do better next time. But also keeping in mind, like, something that you think is a small interaction can actually be a huge deal, because we have no clue what's going on behind the scenes for people. And like Reddit, especially AITAH Reddit, is notorious for only giving like a crumb of context. And so like, it's interesting, right, seeing like, mom, I don't know what I did wrong, I don't know, blah blah blah, did I do anything wrong? And it's, as Allison mentioned earlier, from the social worker perspective, like there were probably some like there were most likely some moments that like built up to this thing where it's like, okay, well, I'm getting a tattoo, I'm going to tell you that I got a tattoo to test out how you react to this, and like now I know if I care about like including you in, and this could be extreme, but like now I know if I care about including you in like big things in my life anymore. And but like from the mom's perspective, it's interesting then seeing the mom like switch up, maybe not switch up, but reconsider, like, oh okay, well, I that okay cool.
I think we definitely want some more context, because I'm curious if that's the first thing, or that the daughter has sort of brought home, like, hey, I've changed in this way now too, and that just that builds. Allison, I want to invite you to make a final comment, and then we're gonna move on in our show tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have much more to add. I'm just thinking about like, I mean, just like Grace brought it back to my brain's just stuck in the social work aspect of just like what all was happening in that moment past just, this is my tattoo, for both people. So I don't know that I have that much more to add, but just thinking about like what led to the version of events that happened that night, from going just from point A of like, here's my cool tattoo, to actually I'm not a Christian anymore, and now I'm not talking to you guys, kind of thing. I don't know.
Beautiful, friends. We're gonna now go into our soul break, which is a few moments just to be silent and reflective of all that we've talked about so far. Awesome. I realized that there might have been some comments given to us on the platform, and I'm sorry that I missed them. I'm going to get better about that in future Studio Wesley lives. So please keep the comments coming. We're really grateful for the folks who might be watching us. So we'll make sure to include those comments in the future. As we're ending, I just want to encourage us a little bit, and maybe in the spaces that we find ourselves right now, and even in light of the story time that we just had. I'm just thinking, in Kansas City Wesley Foundation, we're going to start reading through the Gospel of John this week. We're reading chapters 1 and 2 this week, and John chapter 2 is the wedding at Cana, where Jesus' mother walks up to him and tells him, do something because there's not enough wine here, not enough Malbec. Which, if you're not 21, you don't need to know anything about Malbec, by the way. But not enough Malbec. And so Jesus' mom's like, hey, do something. He's like, do I need to do something? It's like, yes, you need to do something. And I just want to invite us all to consider the ways that we do have agency and power in this world, right? Like, and this is a rough world, a rough moment to sort of think about that, because there are a lot of forces that would love to diminish our agency. There are a lot of forces out there that want us to just obey, want us to just fall in line. But I want to encourage friends, encourage all of you. There at times is a voice that walks up to us and says, do something. And it may be the smallest thing, but we never know what even the smallest acts of kindness, the smallest acts of courage, the smallest acts of recognizing our power in a moment, even the smallest acts of acceptance, like how that could actually create a ripple effect that could change a neighborhood or a nation. And so I do want to invite us to not lose our agency. I told a college student once, this was many years ago, and every time I see him now, he reminds me of this thing that I said to him. I told him, don't forget your power. Don't forget your power. And even in the smallest of moments, we have the ability to make decisions that, yes, could change the entire context of a story. So, yeah, I don't know if it'll be Jesus' mom walking up to you or someone else that says, hey, this is a weird situation. You should do something. Just consider that maybe you are a person, you, college-age young adult, are a person who could very well do something. So that's my encouragement for you all tonight. Maybe read John chapter 2 and see what I'm talking about. But that's the encouragement I offer to all of us tonight. So with that, we're closing this first episode of Studio Wesley Live. So Allison, Sam, Grace, thanks for being on the panel tonight. Friends, we'll be back next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, here on, I think, YouTube and Instagram Live, maybe a couple of other platforms too. But definitely those two will be back for Studio Wesley Live. And otherwise, we'll see you through the week. Be well, my friends.